The following is a simultaneous interpretation of the full text of Dr. Shin Kwang Xiao's speech. Dear Chairman and delegates, usually most sociologists avoid making specific predictions about the future. For the most part, we just analyze what appears to be long-range tendencies. Anyway, I think the situation of next year will not differ too much from what we see now. Since the lifting of the emergency decree, the government has been trying to set the extent of its power and authority to adjust to a new political phase. But unless there are proper laws for both the government and the people to abide by, the disturbances caused by events such as anti-pollution demonstration will probably continue. Therefore, there may be some unrest next year until the related laws are enacted. But our social unrest should not be completely attributed to the lifting of the emergency decree. Even though it was prompted somewhat by it. For now, the public seems to expect too much from the lifting to the decree and overestimates the effect of it. Even the government feels incapable of establishing principles for dealing with social events. The emergency decree was lifted, and it seems at times that social order has gone with it also. Now and then, the government is reluctant to take responsibility for things that it should do, and sometimes it acts firmly at the improper time and place.
I think there are other latent social issues which may become more noticeable next year. Most times, people don't think about finding ways to prevent problems. They only seek solutions afterwards, and it's on way too late. The video games problem a few years ago was a typical example. The notion that prevention is better than cure is more often said than done. We can't deny that most problems of today have deep roots. For instance, motorcycle racing among our youngs and the Tatiana Fed gambling in an illegal lottery have existed for more than 3 years. Long before they become major social problems, I wonder why concerned government officials didn't try to understand and even to stop them before they turned into serious social problems. Now they are touch problems and people are uncertain about the government's ability to solve them. In addition, there are traditional social problems such as crimes committed by teenagers, and gangs that remain unsolved. From my observations, these social problems won't be much better or worse. While it's possible to feel optimistic next year, even in light of the problems I have mentioned, it's clear that no matter what, we will have order. How can there be the best be social order? Much depends upon whether the legislative yuan can establish relevant laws openly, carefully, creatively, and thoroughly during its current session. Several are particularly important. First, the law on the organization of civic groups, especially for social gatherings. There is no reason to be afraid of having social organizations on condition that rubber norms have been set for people to abide by. Having healthy and active social organizations is definitely better than not. Second, the law of labor unions, which the lawmakers are currently amending. This should set the rules for strikes and detail the extent to which self-government of the unions can be expanded. Third, the law concerning environmental pollution disputes has been on the agenda for quite some time. It will probably be discussed in April. For the time being, the problem is that there are no regulations at all for the polluters and anti-pollution groups to observe. Both parties feel victimized, and at present, the government can't do anything about such disputes. Even though the polluters admit the pollution they cause, for the most part, they do not feel guilty about what they have done, and they ignore the protest. This has caused high emotions amongst post-polluters and protesters. The sooner the environmental law is passed, the better for everyone.
For the law to protect consumers is also quite important. Without such legislation, the consumer-producer relationship can't be balanced in society. Even though most people focus their attention on local anti-pollution demonstrations, actually there are another 10 quasi-social movements underway in our society. These are movements by labor, consumers, ecological preservationists, anti-pollution groups, teachers, students, women, aborigines, aid veterans, and political offenders. Most of the movements are unpredictable. In case there are no proper regulations, their unpredictability will increase. Therefore, the four laws I have just mentioned will help set up a good order for the groups concerned. If these laws can be enacted without much difficulty, we can expect more social order. Furthermore, the emotional mood about the lifting of the emergency decree should have cooled down, and that will also have established a new social order. Thus, the election may well increase instability. Most parties won't want the election campaign to become too messy. And they will therefore try to maintain social order. However, there is another potential problem area, that is mainland fever, flowing from the government's policy of allowing visits to mainland China. It will cause cultural and emotional confusion among the people and the mass media, especially for those who have been to the mainland and those who want to but can't go for various reasons. Fortunately, the influence of mainland fever on Taiwan won't be that serious. At least it will have as much significant impact on the mainland as on Taiwan. I think we can rest assured about that. Thank you.